fighting evil. For example, I see a lot of people becoming very frustrated with the ever-increasing levels of police brutality in our society, and understandably so. At the same time, I see so much hate and rage being projected around this issue that goes well beyond righteous anger. Let me be clear here. Anger itself is not necessarily a bad energy. It's a frequency that can help us to stand up for ourselves and others if used and channeled constructively in the cause of justice and fairness. However, stating things like, "This cop deserves to be killed, beaten up," is a less than constructive mindset and does nothing to help the emancipation movement. In fact, such thoughts actually reinforce the problem of violence on an energetic level. However, repressing these feelings is not a solution, either. The question then becomes, how do we go about engaging with this issue in a more conscious and constructive manner? Can we express our anger, and ultimately transmute it and be compassionate towards the perpetrators of injustice at the same time? Most people, cops, prison guards, military personnel, and any other order followers, are deeply wounded and programmed people, inflicting their own unacknowledged pain onto others by abusing their illusory authority rights which were given to them by the state. Even most pedophiles are profoundly victimized people that take out their own unresolved anguish. Most of them have been molested, raped as children themselves through traumatizing young children. They don't require punishment or deserve to be hated as a response to their unconscious behavior. I am not suggesting that we seek to justify their actions or make their choices right. What I am saying is that these deeply troubled individuals require rehabilitation. The same response is required with regards to those people who claim that the best solution to the global predicament would be to round up the psychopathic elite and just shoot them. Do you really think that such an act will solve anything? At the end of the day, psychopaths and their choices are animated by 4D negative entities. By projecting hate onto them, fueled by the disgust that is generated through revelations of their terrible crimes against humanity, we do exactly what the hyperdimensional overlords want us to do. Recall that these entities feed off of that kind of projected negative emotional energy, no matter the source, keeping us trapped on a 3D level of awareness as a result, giving them the food they want out of our own free will. Of course, this doesn't mean to suggest that we should bombard them with love and light or send them love or just play nice with them, as this is the other extreme of the solution scale, and it won't get us anywhere, either. The frequency of evil, sometimes referred to as the Wetiko virus and expressed in socio-cultural terms as ponerology, and psychopaths have their place and their own purpose in the trajectory of our conscious evolutionary arc. Being more compassionate with their existence in our lives does not mean that we must excuse their behavior, or just accept the consequences of their actions, and it certainly doesn't mean that we should simply turn the other cheek or look away. There is a place for self-defense when our sovereign rights are being violated, but we need to understand the bigger picture here, which involves the evolution of collective consciousness, with all of the different faces of God playing themselves out in the game of duality. The overarching reality is that humanity is never going to succeed in completely eradicating or removing evil from our worldly consciousness, nor will everyone be capable of experiencing rehabilitation, either. But while we acknowledge these facts, there may be a different way of going about seeking to mitigate the impact of evil in our societies, and the key in this endeavor involves understanding frequency vibration and how this relates to reality. There are predators, psychopaths, who are predators by choice. They have their own purpose in this incarnation, and cannot be changed. Hence, understanding evil and darkness in humanity's cosmic play, with all the discernment this requires, is a crucial component, as opposed to denying it, running from it, trying to get rid of it, or attempting to fight it on a purely 3D level. We did not find ourselves in this immeasurably privileged position, embodying an instrument of sentient capability, each one of us an autonomous instrument of sensuality, of divine consciousness, seeing beauty, feeling love, so that we could, upon finding ourselves challenged by the shadow, run home, back to the one, to the void, to the undifferentiated ocean of potential. We belong here. This is our home. We had come to tread between the worlds, between agony and ecstasy, between the dream and the nightmare, to become strong and courageous, to surrender any shallow dream of happiness, cruelly torn away as the light and the shadow fashion our joy and sorrow in equal measure, to fall deep in the waters of perpetual renewal and be weighed not against the laws of man but by the sacred law that exists beyond the rule of culture. Happiness is for children, to reach for its sticky sweetness in the midst of an age of obvious terminal decline, whilst wars and genocide rage a short plane ride away, is to reach for the snooze button. Happiness is a dangerous seductive detour, a way to make the prison more comfortable, the lies more palatable, to make this mutant paradigm, riddled with abominations, work for you personally by ensuring that all your ever-expanding comfort zones are satiated through a hollow consumer-based definition of abundance. All the conditional components of your well-being need high maintenance to perpetuate this erroneous form of stability on the tightrope of survival between the cradle and the grave. Happiness is for mortals. Bliss and ecstasy are not reliant upon the arrangement of circumstances, but are realized by the loss of denial rather than adherence to it. Intellectually, I know that it is against the flow of the wide, deep river of life to harbor regret, and yet to this day there are words, deeds, moments that I would unashamedly reclaim from time's steely hold, if I could. In my mind and heart I have rewritten some parts of the play, and yet if it were any other way, would I be here today? I treasured the shattering of my heart that rendered it able to hold more in the divine ambivalence I gained, allowing me to find equipoise in the midst of bedlam and injustice, that I might care deeply and yet not give a damn. Juliet Carter Wordbridger. Ultimately, is it all about ascension? Not in relation to escaping from this world, but transcending it, creating a different timeline, and moving into 4D, a state of being many of us are destined to experience as we anchor this higher frequency I've been discussing. If we believe that evil can and should be eradicated, or that we need to save the world by fighting it on a purely 3D level, or even deny the possibility of evil and believe it doesn't exist, then we will remain ignorant with regards to the whole purpose of this miracle called life on Earth and the evolution of consciousness. As you claim yourself and build a bridge in this fleeting moment of opportunity, it is important to understand that evil cannot be eradicated. What you call evil has a purpose, and sometimes the same tools can be utilized to access either light or dark energies. We have referred to the dark side of living as family of dark. We ask you to recognize that darkness is greatest before the dawn, and that the darkness holds many keys. Whenever you go somewhere new, you are bound to meet an unknown. The presumptions you apply to the unknown territory determine what you will experience. You cannot go into a higher frequency of energy without exploring every territory, therefore the dark side of humanity and the dark side of existence now call to you to examine and understand them. Wave showers are repatterning many realities now. They live quietly, and you may never hear their names, yet they are pioneering new avenues of frequency where the dark conspiracy stories of planetary, solar, and galactic control can be understood. This is no mystery to those of you who have spotted the clues over the years, the synchronicities that have shown you a bigger picture of existence, where everything is much more connected, yet you have been encouraged to believe that nothing is connected. To understand the restructuring of Earth's frequency, you must first learn about the controllers of Earth. Some of you will eventually ask, how could things have become so corrupt? Well, how could they? That is for you to answer. Your challenge is to go from the lowest of frequencies to the highest, and exploring the dark misuse of power will take you there. When we talk about power and darkness, do not feel that you have to run away from this realization to have light. You must learn about the power of darkness in order to understand the wounds and waywardness in the souls of these beings, who are desperately seeking something that was never given to them by their parents or by anyone else. Because of this lack, the practice stays in their bloodline. What is missing? You already know. It is love. The wayward ones on your planet, whether murderers, rapists, pedophiles, or mass manipulators, are all devoid of love and do not know it. And so your task of healing the planet will grow greater as the dark secrets of the world's ruling families and their dark occult practices are discovered. When darkness crosses your path, you cannot run from it. When you run from the dark, you give it more power, allowing it to perpetuate itself. We ask you to rethink and reevaluate your lives as you are called to regenerate yourselves. You shall change, you will change, you must change, because it is the season of change. When the storms become dark, find your courage and face your fears. Wherever the darkness finds you in your life, know that it comes in through difficult situations where your fear may rise like a wave of energy running up your arms, electrifying the stem of your brain, the reptilian brain, asking you to remember something. When this happens, know in the core of your being that you are part of a plan, and that your chapter is now ready to unfold into the deepest part of darkness so that you can create change by changing your frequency. You cannot reach the light without knowing the dark, and the dark comes now in massive amounts asking to be healed. The form of love we speak of has not been practiced here for hundreds of thousands of years. Genetically you are dealing with the cleansing of a long line of humanity, generation upon generation of wounds. It is a challenging time in which you live, a challenge to examine how degenerate humankind's frequencies have become as a whole. The task ahead is to not underestimate the job, but to truly look at the darkness and see the work that has been cut out for you, to regenerate yourselves and your planet by finding what is really important, what you are going to value. Shocking changes will create a destabilization of civilization, and this is all meant to be. Some of you want to experience the time of light as if you were driving from one picnic to another. That is not the case. The issue of accountability must be addressed on your planet, not to blame people but to teach them that at this time each person must be his or her own leader. The truth is that no one is going to lead you. Barbara Marciniak, Family of Light.